Hi, Vision Prep Scholars. It's Miss Phillips. Hi, happy new week, new video. I hope you guys are staying safe and wearing gloves and masks if you can, or staying inside as much as you can, even though it's so gorgeous outside right now. It is so nice and beautiful. It's almost summer, so I know it's really hard to stay inside and not go outside, but I hope you are staying inside. Okay, today we are going to talk about the greenhouse effect. I know I've talked with some of you about this before, some of the grades, we've talked about this already. But we're going to talk about it all together because it's going to lead us into a couple of these really positive, happy news stories I want to share with you guys. So to get us started, I'm going to share with you a quote from a song written by one of my favorite songwriters of all time, Joni Mitchell. It's from a song called Big Yellow Taxi. And here's the quote. It's from the chorus. It says, "They paved paradise, put up a parking lot." I'm going to read that again. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. I'm going to spare you my singing of it, of that song. But what do you think that quote is about? Who do you think the they are? The they paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Who do you think the they are? I'll give you a second to think. Us, humans. We've paved paradise. What was the paradise? What do you think? Earth. And we put up a parking lot. So what this line is saying, they paved paradise, put up a parking lot. What this line is saying is we've cut down environments. We've killed, destroyed environments to put up a parking lot, to put up a building, to put up a factory, to put up apartment homes like I live in, to put up whatever that humans need, right? And we're doing too much of it. And all that paving over the earth, all that cutting things down, all that getting rid of environments and putting up human things is putting out a lot of CO2 or carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. What does that matter? Well, when humans burn fossil fuels, when we use coal to run electricity and energy, like most of Memphis, our electricity is run on coal. Not very good. Coal puts out a lot of CO2 when it's burned into the atmosphere. Cars, the exhaust coming out the back of your car, CO2 into the atmosphere. Airplanes, exhaust, CO2 into the atmosphere. Factories, everything, almost everything humans use for energy puts out CO2 into the atmosphere. Okay? So what that does is it thickens that atmosphere around our Earth. Okay? The atmosphere, if you didn't know, because I know we've talked about it before, the atmosphere is a thin, really thin layer of gas that surrounds Earth, okay? It gives us our air and everything to breathe, okay? That thin layer around Earth is called the atmosphere, and it does a lot of different things. It protects us from asteroids, comets, meteors, things like that. So instead of them going straight to Earth and hitting us, they actually burn up in the atmosphere, and that's what a shooting star is. Every time you see a shooting star, that's just a little meteor, meteor, asteroid burning up in our atmosphere, okay? That atmosphere also helps keep us warm. Keeps some of the sun and the heat from the sun inside, okay? But what's happening is because humans are putting so much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, into the air, it's making that atmosphere thick, too thick. And now sunlight that used to just come in through the atmosphere and go back out now is getting stuck inside our atmosphere and the earth and just bouncing around. Okay, I have a little picture to show you what that kind of looks like. Okay, full disclosure, this is probably the best picture you've ever seen in your life. Like, this could be a masterpiece hung up in Paris art museums, right? So good. Just warning you now that this picture is incredible. Right? So good. Such a good picture. I am such an incredible artist. Okay, this is a picture of Earth. So we've got a factory, a car, a school, an airplane. And if you look close, you can see they're all putting out some gas, right? Here's the factory putting out some gas. Here's some car putting out exhaust. The school is putting out gas from like cooking and the heat running and the lights running. Here's the gas coming out of the airplane. All of that goes into the atmosphere here, this thin little gray line, okay, and it makes it thicker. And that thicker atmosphere makes it harder for the sunlight coming in to get back out. Okay? So what should be happening if the earth was in balance and humans were being clean and not putting out too much CO2, what should be happening is some sunlight would get in and stay in. Right? That's what makes us warm. That's what makes our planet be able to have life, is we have a warm enough planet, right? Not too cold, not too hot, just right. So we want some sun. So if everything were working correctly, some sun would get in through the atmosphere and stay there. Some sun would hit the atmosphere, boop, and bounce off, okay? Some sun would get in, it's kind of backwards for me, there we go, get in, bounce off the earth, and then go back out. That's what we want to happen. That would be perfect. But because humans are putting all this carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, making it thicker, that sun is coming in and then it can't get back out. It's just bouncing around in here, making us warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer. And that is what the greenhouse effect is. So I have one quick little experiment for you today, and you're going to kind of scare your parents or your grandma, grandpa, or your auntie and uncle, whoever you live with. This is kind of your chance to play a little trick on them, have a little fun, okay? What you're going to do, I'm going to talk quiet so they can't hear. What you're going to do is you're going to ask them if you can borrow the car keys for a minute, okay? And you're going to scare them because they're going to think you're going to go for a joyride around the neighborhood, but you're really not. What you're really going to do is just go into the car, don't turn it on, just go in and close the door, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to observe, you're going to feel with your body, okay? You're going to feel if it's warmer in the car than outside the car, if it's the same temperature in the car than outside the car, or if it's colder in the car or outside the car. Okay, go ask them. And remember, you're going to use your body to feel if it's warmer, the same, or colder inside the car than outside the car. Okay, go. I'll meet you back here. Go, go. Okay, did you go in the car? So what did you see? Was it warmer in the car, the same in the car, or colder in the car than outside? Which was it? It was warmer, right? It was warmer in the car because of the greenhouse effect. The same thing that we were just talking about, how the sun gets trapped in the atmosphere now because there's too much CO2, so it's staying in the earth and not getting out. That's the same thing as your car. The sun gets in through the glass, but it's like a one-way road. The sun can't get back out. So once the sun gets in your windows of your car and the glass through the windows, it gets stuck and it can't get out and it just sits there heating up the car, bouncing around, heating up the car. That's the greenhouse effect. And that's what we're doing to our planet as humans. We are putting so much carbon dioxide, so much yucky gunk into the air that we're making a greenhouse effect for our planet, and it's heating us up. And it's terrible. It's really bad. And it's all our fault. That's the thing. We don't like to admit that as humans, that it's our fault, but it's our fault. It's our fault. We're using dirty things like coal and oil to run our world instead of clean things like water and sun, okay, and wind. Those are clean things that wouldn't put CO2 in the air. But all the coal and the oil that we're using, that's causing all that carbon dioxide into the air and making that greenhouse effect happen, which is causing global warming. So, it's awful, it's terrible. It's a big lesson, to be honest. Like, I could spend probably 8 hours talking to you about how it all works and what it is, but we don't have that time. So instead, what I want to show you is a couple of the good things that are happening with the greenhouse effect now that the whole world basically is locked down from coronavirus. So all over the world, people are, see my dog, all over the world, people are locked down and stuck at home because of the coronavirus. So we're not driving as much, we're not flying as much, we're not going around running factories and stores and things. We're not burning so much oil and coal for our energy sources anymore because we're all at home. So that's actually had a really good positive, really good impact on the earth and the carbon dioxide that's getting put out into the atmosphere. So we say carbon emissions. That's the scientific term for how much carbon dioxide is getting put into the atmosphere. So because everyone is at home and locked down, the carbon emissions are going down too. So we're not putting out as much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And it's been really good for the planet. Really good for the planet. Even in this short amount of time, just a few months, it's really had a good impact on the planet. Animals are coming into cities, and because no one's around anymore, they have more freedom to roam and go to places they used to not be able to go because there are people there. So there's animals out more, and air pollution is going way down. So I have some really cool pictures to show you about all these sort of positive effects for the environment of coronavirus and the lockdown, and how the planet is doing better now because humans are at home more and not burning that coal and those oil and not putting out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So it's a small little, well, not small, it's a nice silver lining to this terrible coronavirus time that is making me feel a little positive. And my hope is that if the world can change their habits for coronavirus, that we can change our habits to fight climate change, because we only got about 8 years. Scientists think we got about 8 years until the effects of the greenhouse effect and climate change are so bad that we can't fix them anymore. So that's my hope, that humans can do the right thing and get on board with fixing climate change, not putting out so much CO2 in the atmosphere. Okay, you're going to see a couple news stories, a couple pictures about some of the positive effects for the environment during coronavirus. Love you guys. Bye. So here's a picture of NO2 emissions. NO2 is actually nitrogen dioxide, and it's another one of the gases that humans put out, just like CO2. So this is a little bit different, but it's basically showing the same thing we were talking about with CO2 getting put out into the atmosphere. This is NO2, another greenhouse gas, nitrogen dioxide. And as you can see, those top 3 pictures in orange, the more orange and red it is showing the more nitrogen dioxide is getting put out. So that's really bad. And as you can see, when the country locked down, those orange and reds, all that nitrogen dioxide went down to almost zero because factories closed, people started moving around, stopped moving around so much, and they stopped putting out that NO2 and the CO2 emissions as well. So it really cleaned up their air a lot in China. This one is a before and after picture, before the lockdown from coronavirus and after the lockdown of coronavirus, of the Delhi Gate. The Delhi Gate is a landmark. It's this little structure in the city of Delhi in India. Millions and millions and millions of people live in Delhi. This is a very populated city that usually has, as you can see in the before picture, a ton of air pollution, a ton of that nitrogen dioxide, a ton of carbon dioxide, and it makes it really hard to see and to breathe. But as you can see in the after picture, that air has cleaned up. It's almost a clear, beautiful day, just because human beings stopped moving around and stopped putting out so much greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. It's such a big difference how much better the air is now that we're locked down for coronavirus. Here is a really incredible picture. This is from Jaldhar, another city in India that is in northern India near the Himalayan mountains. And normally, before coronavirus, you could not see those Himalayan mountains, even though they're not that far away. Because of all the nitrogen dioxide and carbon dioxide that humans are putting out into the atmosphere and making the air so polluted and so thick with all those yucky, gunky gases, they couldn't see the Himalayas. But now, because of the coronavirus lockdown and because those greenhouse gases are going down, they can see the Himalayas for the first time in 30 years. One of the really fun things to see during this coronavirus lockdown is all the wild animals that are coming into cities. So this is a picture of some wild boars that usually live in the country outside of Barcelona in Spain, this very big city, Barcelona. But now, because humans aren't around so much, animals are coming into the city. So these are some wild boars hanging out in a playground in the middle of Barcelona, Spain. Here's another cool one. This is a puma, or a mountain lion like we might say in America, but this is a puma, wild puma roaming the streets of Santiago, Chile, just hanging out in the middle of a city, this wild animal. So the next couple pictures you're going to see are some wild animals in places that they haven't been seen in a long time, because human activity is going down so much. Animals are starting to come out and explore more, which has been really neat to see. So these last couple pictures are going to be some more pictures of animals in funny places because of all this coronavirus lockdown.